Hi, I'm Sandu BARBU. In order to understand our life and life around us, we must first become distrustful. We go through life believing everything we see or hear, and we are taught to trust our education. But how much of what we know, of what we were told was true in school is actually truth?
And what, may I ask, is an Aryan? I don't know myself. But let us see what our present so-called authorities have to say about it. They say he is tall, slender, blue-eyed, and blonde. There is no Aryan race. And more important, there is no master race.
We see that for years, politicians lie and get away with it. Mainstream media hides the grievances of enormous masses of people, and we have seen and heard how they keep lying and making up false stories that they don't even bother to admit were lies when we prove them wrong and evil-minded. Why would they do that? The answer lies in the words of the Chinese general Sun Tzu. Warfare is the art of Tao, of deceit. Therefore, when able, seem to be unable. When ready, seem unready. When nearby, seem far away. And when far away, seem near. The art of deceit that politicians and their mainstream media use proves there is a war going on. And this war did not start when you discovered their deceit. It has been going on for thousands of years, possibly more. If we discover lies, then we should wonder why, and never go along with them because for the moment it seems to suit us, our goals, our needs. Those who lie should never be your friends, not even for a short while. Depart from them. We have a saying in Romania: be blood brother with the devil until you cross the bridge. Yeah, and see how far it got us. The introduction was necessary for two reasons. One, you must understand there is a war against you. And two, when you pick a side against those who wage war on you, don't embrace them like they're God sent. Remember, they who will deceive you will also set traps everywhere. They are content to make you vote for one of their loudmouths who seem to be on your side. They are happy if you use your strength and energy believing a lie. Do not believe. Check 1,000 times before you take another step forward, because that forward may lead you astray. And trust me, they are masters of deceit. Now, Qanon. I heard about it in March 2020. The movement was older, 2017 I think. But like many of us, I had other priorities. In less than a month though, I discovered that the lies were pouring down like rain from the government. And for the first time in the known history of mankind, the mainstream media, all of it, began to speak as one.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control and exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 I will not go through the entire period. Suffice it to say that I joined the Romanian Qanon group of Cornel Szabó. I made many friends and I still consider them as friends. As I said on the group before leaving, the problem is I thought I was thorough when it came to verifying facts without being a fake fact checker. I am human and I learn by trial and error. People are usually inflexible with those that make mistakes. I am known to not be perfect. When I make mistakes, I always make things clear if I have the chance. This is why I am a skeptic. Amicus Plato sed magis amicus veritas. Plato is my friend, but the truth is my best friend. There are many of you who know the relationship between former President Trump and Q. Please look up Q, who is supposedly a very hush-hush American patriot, or group of patriots, that has, or have, a very high clearance and drops info about stuff that interests other patriots, just as the British gave the French resistance cues about what they should do.
Jean a de longues moustaches. Je répète, Jean a de longues moustaches. Sabine a les oreillons et la jaunie. Je répète, Sabine a les oreillons et la jaunie.
Jean a de longues moustaches.
But some drops were said to be for the QAnons, anonymous people like you and me, who believed Q exists and fights the deep state, or the swamp. What I learned in the past 2 years is that the cult, as David Icke calls it, that is an infamous group of royal blood criminals that go way back in history and actually own everything on earth except our conscience. So, the cult does not mind pushing on us what we call predictive programming. They tell us what they're about to do beforehand, and when it happens, we're baffled. But this is not the main reason they do it. Not by far. They hide information in plain sight and have many of their agents collect. They have criminals that work for them. Take a seat, please, and wait for it. They have criminals that work for them become your heroes. How do you make them out? They lie. They cheat. They pose. Because this is what they are. They're posers. And they have armies of artists, psychologists, counselors, and editors working with and for them. And all this time, the fake media and the deep state fights them. I told you in the beginning, they're masters of deceit. They love war, and they know how to wage war. Look at the movies they keep making. What they call conflict, you can love a movie without a conflict, becomes a conflict in real life, as it insinuates into your subconscious mind. Women begin to hate men, all men. Children are subconsciously taught to hate their parents. It's the age, right? Nothing you can do as a parent. And since they can't stop you from discovering their schemes, they arm their own slaves with some of the knowledge of their evil doing and make them your champions. There are so many of them and so different. They have to be. You can't put all your rotten eggs in one basket. They get singled out and crossed out from the list in one shot. You can't do that. Some of these rotten eggs profess to be Christians, some enlightened spirits, some deists, some atheists. Why? They need all of us together under some false banner. But I'm not going to speak about these wolves in sheep's clothing now. They have a lot of publicity and money, even though they claim to have none. The main reason the cult spreads its slaves everywhere is diversion. If tens of thousands choose to follow one of them, when the time comes, they will either be left alone or led astray. Which brings us back to Trump and QAnon. I will only dwell on 3 things about Trump, and I will leave the most important one for last. First, Trump loves his money and his stuff first. I know you want a hero, but unless you grow into one, you ain't gonna have one, a reliable one. You are the hero you were born to be in this life, in this age, on this planet. You were told that because Trump is a billionaire, he doesn't need money, and that's why he was chosen by patriots to run for president. And he said, all right, I got all the money I need. I got fame, an unblemished reputation, so I guess I can be the savior of America and the whole world while I'm at it. But you know, something tells me that it's not gonna be a very rich individual, one that cannot be bought with money and assets, the one to be most successful in fighting evil. Trump did give a little money out of his pockets, but the bulk came from donations, from the hard-working Americans. He absolutely used the same trick as the Democrats to drain the supporters' bank accounts. What, you didn't know that there were pre-check boxes that made you a supporter with default recurring payments?
When supporters contributed online, a yellow box to make a recurring donation came pre-checked.
Of course, people asked for refunds and some people got their money back. Some $64 million. About 11 times more than the Democrats had to give people back. Why would Trump agree to the same scheme the Democrats used? A verse from the Bible comes to mind. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. Just saying. But Trump's love for worldly stuff and advantages was full-blown before, while, and after he became a president.
I love loans. I love other people's money.
When it came to showing his supporters some backbone, he put his restaurants first. Not the people. Not even those who loved him. I mean, he's a billionaire, right? He can say, for instance, listen, Sleepy Joe, I do not agree with your mandate. People will come and eat at my table without showing me the infamous QR code. You'd probably say, but he did that, didn't he? Not exactly. As a matter of fact, when a group of true-blood patriots made a reservation to one of Trump's grills, they were not allowed at the table because they weren't inoculated.
Yeah, because they're asking us for proof of medical records. So the burden of proof goes on them because they're assuming that we're a threat because we don't have a vaccine. So prove to me that we're a threat.
It's funny how one of the protesters is baffled when saying, what? He can't afford $1,000 fine? He's a billionaire.
We came to Trump Tower because, you know, we thought Donald Trump is supposed to be for America. He said he's against vaccine mandates. And I thought, as a man who's for America, he would stand up, pay $1,000 fine, and let us eat freely. You know, the man's a billionaire. He can afford $1,000 fine.
Guys, One cannot be a billionaire in this world if one loves people more than money. The cult won't let you unless you work for them. Your hero will not pay $1,000 fine to prove a point. I mean, he could. He's got an army of lawyers that can take this abuse to court and show that it's unconstitutional to prevent someone eat in a restaurant if they refuse to prove they are healthy. I mean, tuberculosis is severe, just as it is stated on tballiance.org. Check that out. I mean, it's a pandemic, right? And it says here that, I quote, tuberculosis is a global pandemic killing someone approximately every 22 seconds, about 1.4 million in 2019 alone. And no one cared to ask people to present a clean bill of health when entering restaurants, theaters, stadiums, schools in 2019. I mean, Trump never thought of that. Oh, he's a law-abiding citizen. I mean, if it's the law. We have a saying in Romania, where there's a law, there's no bargaining. But what if it's a mandate? Well, a mandate is not the law.
It's not a law. No, it's not. It's a mandate.
It's a mandate.
I made a reservation on Tuesday for a party of 6 at 3 p.m. So both parties agreed upon this. So we're here at the correct time, and they're telling me they don't take reservations. So they lied to me. Then he said it was a law. He said the vaccine passport's a law. The man at the front desk. I said, you lied to me again. It's not a law. It's a policy.
Let's go to the second issue with Trump. And I must ask you again to wait for the third and last one. You'd think the first two make real strong cases. Wait for the last one. Anyway, the second is Trump can lie without flinching. Again, we have a Romanian saying that goes, neither has he eaten garlic, nor his mouth smells. I gave you the literal saying. The closest I could find to English is, he looks as if butter would not melt in his mouth. Well, anyway, it is a fact I discovered, even in the mainstream media, that Trump is struck by amnesia when people he met and talked to or about become controversial. There's a long list of about 20 people that Trump knew, and when they became, well, unpopular, he said he didn't know them. Lev Parnas, I hope I'm getting the pronunciation right, never knew him. U.S. Ambassador Gordon Sondland. I mean, it's so easy to forget that in May 2018, Trump nominated Sondland for his position, but only after Sondland donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration committee. He is a billionaire, but like any other politician, he cannot pay stuff out of his own pocket, right? Oh, and there's Prince Andrew. Of course that after the Duke became entangled with Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse accusations, Trump suddenly forgot that in an interview with People in 2000, he described Andrew as, I quote, a lot of fun to be with. And he would definitely sweep his friendship with the infamous Jeffrey Epstein under the rug if he could. In 2002, Trump told New York Magazine, I quote, I've known Epstein for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. Trump, you dog, you. All QAnons find that Trump's taste in younger women is so manly. Oh, but let us see what Trump said when asked about his friendship with Epstein. Quote, I was not a fan a long time ago. I'd say maybe 15 years. I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his. When he lies, you see, he likes to repeat, not my thing, not my thing, not my thing. Look at these beautiful, successful Americans that don't seem at all to be one another's fan. Trump wrote in a tweet from March 2019 that George Conway is very jealous of his wife's success, and that, of course, he barely knew the guy. Barely knew the guy. Then how do you know he's jealous? And Trump said, I don't, but just look at him. But just take a look, a stone-cold loser and husband from hell. And to make his point tougher, he later retweeted his campaign manager who claimed that POTUS doesn't even know him. There is obviously a problem with the letter Trump sent to George, published by the Post in 2006. Trump was thanking George for helping him with the Trump Tower problem. I mean, George was not a loser back in 2006, especially since Trump wrote in the postscriptum, quote, "You have a truly great voice, certainly not a bad asset for a top trial lawyer. But I'm not going to bore you to death with more of his who? Never knew him. Well, maybe one. WikiLeaks. One of his favorite words, it seems.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks!
You wait. You love what?
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks!
They want to distract us from WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
I mean, this WikiLeaks is fascinating.
Wait, what? WikiLeaks is what?
I mean, this WikiLeaks is fascinating. The WikiLeaks revelations. This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove. WikiLeaks, right? WikiLeaks. The Hillary Clinton documents released today by WikiLeaks make more clear than ever just how much is at stake in this election. So much corruption. WikiLeaks just came out with lots of really unbelievable things. WikiLeaks, again, nobody's covering WikiLeaks.
Hey, nobody's covering what?
WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks.
Oh, so it must be good if the fake news aren't covering it. But when it comes to Assange being pardoned, the cult told Trump, no, he stays. Not him. Trump. I don't know anything about him, really. I don't know much about him. I really don't.
Claim it'll be on. He's going to talk about WikiLeaks. You had nothing to do with the leaking of those documents. I think it's disgraceful. You do think it's disgraceful?
I think this should be like death penalty or something.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks. These WikiLeaks as confirmed just today by WikiLeaks.
At least Trump knows about WikiLeaks. Or does he?
President, do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
I mean, if WikiLeaks is not his thing.
It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks. They want to distract us from WikiLeaks.
The wonder of WikiLeaks. Boy, that WikiLeaks has done a job on her, hasn't it?
Well, if he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
We've learned so much from WikiLeaks. Oh, we love WikiLeaks. Boy, they have really WikiLeaks.
Aside from being a forgetful president, he also does not seem to find room in his agenda for chemtrails. That is consistent with Q. The whole awakened world knows, photographs, films, and speaks about chemtrails, but not Trump and definitely not devoted QAnons. I mean, we have it here in Romania everywhere, and I know the awakened from the American people know they have it too. This is what I filmed in my hometown. Watch the dispersion of a chemtrail becoming a cloud in 15 to 30 minutes. Did Trump know? What did he do about it in 4 years? What makes you think he's going to address this genocidal situation in his next mandate? Better still, did Trump know about the American biolabs in Ukraine? Heck, in the whole world. If he didn't, then there's no Q, because they would have told him, right? Well, it's just politics, right? Then why did he become the president? Just to tell you winking, no one can stop what's coming. Boy, that is frightening coming from someone playing at both ends as I think he is. And the recent QAnon love for Putin is not shared by Trump. Trump doesn't dig Biden, but he agrees with his policy against Putin. And he considers Biden soft. Putin's got nukes. Trump says, we got more and bigger nukes. We got more and bigger nukes. That's what he says. Well, not with these words, but about the same.
And we never talk, we say, oh, he's a nuclear power. But we're a greater nuclear power. We have the greatest submarines in the world, most powerful machines ever built. And you should say, look, if you mention that word one more time, we're going to send them over and we'll be coasting back and forth up and down your coast.
Trump doesn't know that his country has got dozens of biolabs in Ukraine and hundreds of them in the whole world. He doesn't know his beloved Americans are sprayed like bugs with stuff from the sky. Instead, he thinks China and Zelensky should investigate Biden and his junior. I mean, foreign countries to conduct investigations on the president of US of A? Not a peep on labs, chemtrails, but a lot of, they stole the election. And you know why? Because the emphasis of his campaign was never on what really kills us, but on, I'll be back and drain the swamp. And we bought it. Now, if you think all is fair in politics and the end justifies the means, I will strongly disagree. If Trump brings his Bible...
Most importantly, I brought my Bible. Okay?
Many people will be thrilled, but knowing Jesus from the pages of the book, would he agree with Trump's lying and scheming for the greater good? Which brings us to our last item on the list, Operation Warp Speed. What's that? Well, Operation Warp Speed was a public-private partnership initiated by the United States government to facilitate and accelerate the development, manufacturing, and distribution of COVID-19 vaccine, therapeutics, and diagnostics. But Trump wouldn't have anything to do with pushing the inoculation to the American people, would he?
We're just days away from authorization from the FDA, and we're pushing them hard, at which point we will immediately begin mass distribution. Before Operation Warp Speed, the typical time frame for development and approval, as you know, could be infinity. And we were very, very happy that we were able to get things done at a level that nobody has ever seen before. We're very hopeful that the FDA will authorize the Pfizer vaccine within days. We've got to get it moving. And Moderna vaccine almost immediately thereafter. Large numbers of tests and samples have been done, so hopefully that'll go very quickly. If authorized, tens of millions of vaccine doses will be available this month, and we'll get it distributed very quickly. We'll have that all set, and hundreds of millions more will quickly follow. Every American who wants the vaccine will be able to get the vaccine, and we think by spring we're going to be in a position that nobody would have believed possible just a few months ago. You know, amazing, really amazing. Today we're on the verge of another American medical miracle, and that's what people are saying. People that aren't necessarily big fans of Donald Trump are saying, whether you like him or not, this is one of the greatest miracles in the history of modern-day medicine or any other medicine, any other age of medicine.
Not only that Trump went along with the tests, not testing for a virus, as I love hearing David Icke say, but he said nothing about the criminal one-size-fits-all protocols from the hospitals. He just made sure they had ventilators. Trump trusted the science and the robotic doctors who followed protocol for piles of money. If you detected the killer virus with a test not testing for a virus, and if you managed to get that person on a ventilator. Could this be the reason why Trump made sure they got plenty of ventilators? I don't know, just saying. And Q, extremely busy assuring us the swamp is thoroughly being drained. had no remark about Fauci and absolutely no hint for Trump to what Kary Mullis said about the PCR test, which he invented.
PCR is separate from that. It's just a process that's used to make a whole lot of something out of something. That's what it is. But it's not, it doesn't tell you that you're sick, and it doesn't tell you that the thing you ended up with really was going to hurt you or anything like that.
The PCR doesn't tell you that you're sick, and it doesn't tell you that the thing that you ended up with really was going to hurt you or anything like that.
Of course, that Trump is a patriot, an unknowledgeable patriot at best, but a patriot nonetheless. Or a scheming, devious fellow that knew Fauci has no idea what he sees under a microscope, for instance. But some people say that even the deep state told, nay, ordered Trump to keep Fauci in charge, because those guys have got an agenda.
Guys like Fauci get up there and start talking, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine, and he should not be in a position like he's in. Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on at the bottom. Those guys have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being that we pay for them to take care of our health in some way.
On the one hand, we have Trump, who lied in many occasions, talked nothing about what airplanes pour from the skies every day, was silent about the hundreds of American biolabs all over the world, and most importantly, pushed experimental inoculation that killed tens of thousands of people. See for yourself on Fiji Access, the site created by the World Health Organization, and crippled hundreds of thousands that we know of. And we have Q, on the other hand, who supports this man. Now, what do you call someone who upholds a poser? Could this be the way the Creator likes things done? Can America be made great again on lies, deceit, and half-truths? Seems to me that these are the very things that brought America here in the first place. I don't think you want the quicksand of political lies to be the foundation of a new America. Can we hope for a new America, a new world? Not in the sense Klaus Schwab would want it. Well, in the end, here's my take on what I think will happen, and I have no prophet's reputation to defend in case it doesn't happen the way I predict. I think Trump is the cult's plan B. Of course, the mainstream media had to attack him to make his fight with the deep state look real. They chose him the worst and weakest possible adversary in the presidential election so he can look better by contrast and sway a lot of Democrat voters to his advantage. It didn't matter. The election was rigged. Trump just played his part. He kept saying he won, gave surprising hints on the coming ballot steal, but didn't show any signs of real anger or frustration. He was composed, right? Nor his knowing about the steal made him take extra measures. Just as the Ukrainian actor Zelensky, he was chosen for the job because he was a good entertainer and could play the part well. Now, after Biden was declared president, the new head of state overturned whatever good Trump did in his 4 years of being POTUS. Biden was the puppet the cult chose to usher in the new era of the Great Reset, and he began to undo what Trump purposely did to make America great again. They changed everything back in a blink of an eye. This was the plan all along. They're pushing Biden to carry out 70%, 80% if possible, 90% of their plan, but they know the people might destroy everything if they're not careful. They know they can hope that Americans will just sit there while they lose their freedom. They expect the citizens to put up a fight. If they do, a miracle will happen. The Supreme Court will suddenly wake up and the cry will be heard. The votes in the 2020 election were not counted right. Trump will probably become president before 2024 if people start rioting. He will start doing what he does best, acting and boasting. The remaining 5 or 10% of the cult's agenda for America will be brought to fruition by Trump. Remember the rally in Alabama when Trump invited his supporters to take the jab and a few booed him?
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But you got, no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know.
Well, some new advice will be given again. He'll be cheered as a savior. Maybe he'll even hold up a Bible. And then the surprise will come. Possibly Bible-wise.
The Bible certainly is one of, if not, I mean, it is the book.
Let's pray together, may we?
Yes. I believe in God. I am Christian. I'm a Protestant. I'm very proud of it. Presbyterian to be exact.
I'm Presbyterian. Boy, that's down the middle of the road, folks, in all fairness. I mean, Seventh-day Adventist, I don't know about.
I have great relationship with God.
Let me make things even crazier. What if Trump's ascension will coincide with apparitions of a popular spiritual being? And like Q, will endorse his regaining the presidential prerogatives. I don't know what and how will all happen, of course, but let me go on a limb here. If it doesn't happen, it's not like I misled people by telling them to take a jab that would kill them. But I'm pretty sure that whoever comes back, Trump or someone else, you'll be handed another poisoned apple. Some, very few, will understand. The rest will do what they know best. Be a crowd. Oh, and the meaning of Q is not patriots undercover. The cult is mocking you. It's Q, the emblematic figure from Star Trek, the omnipotent being that likes to fool around with humans and show them how weak-minded they are. Well, after identifying Q with Q, if you think of leaving this psy-op, I don't think you need another Q.